Howdy folks, Gelatinous Rube here. I hope you fine folks ain't scared of spiders, cause the star of today's video is all about them. Welcome back to a 5e retrospective, an ongoing series setting the record straight on 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. We're reviewing another monster, the Ettercap. It's a spider-like ambush predator that keeps spiders and scorpions sometimes as pets, ensnaring fairies and small animals in its filthy webs. We're gonna discuss the Ettercap's description, how it plays in combat, the reason I chose this critter to begin with, and how it could have been better developed. Now, the Ettercap is a bulbous, portly spider monster with a roughly humanoid shape. It's a smooth, disgusting critter which eats, sleeps, and defecates whenever it's not spinning webs or murdering its prey. As mentioned, they do keep spiders and rarely scorpions as pets. The 5th edition description tags them as sylvan despoilers, spends an awful lot of time detailing just how disgusting this creature is, just how it befouls the land around it. Creeks are gross with sewage and rot, trees choke and die, and whatever fey stewards lived in the area are consumed if they don't flee. Their half-eaten corpses left to litter and spoil the land they once tended to. Ettercaps are the rock consumes personified. Now, they're relatively simple to run in combat. They have a web for restraining creatures, which has to be recharged after each use on a die roll of 5 or 6. They have a boring claw attack, universal to all 5th edition monsters, and have a bite attack with a very low chance to poison you, but a decent amount of poison damage tacked onto it. There's also a variant of the Ettercap which carries a garret. The garret requires the Ettercap. Oh, just in case you don't know what a garret is, it's one of those wires or other thin objects that you can wrap around somebody's neck, usually from behind, in order to suffocate them and cut off blood flow to the brain. Now, the garret requires the Ettercap have advantage on the attack roll to use, meaning, generally speaking, you have to be attacking from stealth in order to accomplish this. Ettercaps have a pretty decent stealth bonus, and they are of course described as being ambush predators, and if successful, the hit will grapple and suffocate the target, which is pretty cool in my opinion. There's only like 2 5th edition monsters I can think of, at the very least in the base 5e monster manual, that actually makes use of suffocation. It's the Shambling Mound, which suffocates any creature that gets caught up and successfully attacked and, finds themselves buried in the creature's form. And the other is the Ettercap. But there's more to these creatures than just their boring combat stat blocks, according to the description at the very least. The place where Ettercaps live is inherently dangerous. Ettercaps ostensibly don't like open fights. They don't like open confrontation. They are, again, ambush predators. They trap their prey. They warp the environment to some extent. Trees rot and fall. Large spiders build trapdoors or infest dens. Cobwebs choke out trails. The whole place is infested with disease and rot and grime. And around every bend, every blind, every corner is a hungry, likely poisonous jaw waiting to snack on your ankles. So let me take a moment to explain why I made this video to begin with. I'm not running a critical analysis on the whole of 5th edition. I don't have enough time. I am picking out specific, representative cases of bad design throughout the system. The most interesting dragon in 5th edition is the Jabberwocky, and it sucks. The Prince of Demons is Demogorgon, the most powerful extraplanar creature your players may face, and he's corporate slop. The closest 5th edition has to a non-combat mode of play is exploration, and it accomplishes nothing in-game. Hit points are the swing statistic for how satisfying a combat is, and they've unfortunately been swung in the wrong direction. These prior videos I've made take a mechanic, slice of gameplay, or creature meant to represent a class of gameplay experiences, and dissect them I'm giving an autopsy of the chief victims of 5th edition, so why did I pick the Ettercap today? Because the Ettercap is a low-level monster, known for ambushing prey. It does this not just by using its environment, but by modifying its environment. In fact, go back to the 5th edition description, aptly titled Sylvan Despoilers. What do we call an environment that's been modified by the presence of a creature? Not just modified aesthetically, but is ostensibly more dangerous to travel through and fight in, independent of the monster's direct involvement. There's a right answer to this, a mechanical answer. In 5th edition, that's called a lair, and the Ettercap, along with every single other low-level creature in 5th edition, does not have a lair. Giving low-level critters a lair in 5th edition is apparently some kind of design taboo, and I think the game suffers for it. Now, as a refresher, lairs in 5th edition afflict the local environment with a number of effects, some of which affect the players and fade after the creature to whom the lair belongs dies or moves on. Lair actions can be used within the lair. They more or less maintain a second set of actions that the chief creature always has access to. These mechanics exist to make a monster more deadly in its home turf, which is why lairs usually only ever get applied to higher level enemies, so those higher level enemies don't just get curb stomped by high level PCs. Lairs typically have 3 active effects. Some of these are more multi-layered, which is appropriate for the higher level creatures who get to enjoy their benefits. They can inflict madness, diminish hit points, impart curses or diseases, or offer the lair's owner special advantages or information about the party. As mentioned, lairs also have lair actions, which always take place on initiative count 20, losing initiative ties, and usually can't be used twice in a row. They're like legendary actions, but the environment produces the effect, so it can't be avoided through the use of conditions or most circumstantial protections against a monster. Now, to demonstrate why low-level monsters, and thus the game as a whole, would benefit from having access to lairs, I'm building a lair for the Ettercap, and I'm gonna do it in a couple different games just so we can explore different mechanics. Now, I might as well start with 5th edition though, and we'll stick to pretty standard lair mechanics, just again to demonstrate how this works. The Ettercap's lair effects are 1. Emboldened swarms. All swarms within 1 mile of the lair have advantage on all attacks, ability checks, and saving throws. Additionally, they suffer no damage reduction for falling below half hit points. 2. Befouled food and water. All non-alcoholic rations are turned poisonous. Eating such a ration temporarily reduces your maximum hit points by 2. 3. Coward's prowess. The Ettercap and its minions have advantage on their first attack against another creature each encounter. For lair actions, we have the first, Falling Web. Creatures in a 10-foot square must make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw or become restrained. They can use their action to escape the web with a DC 16 Strength Athletics check. Alternatively, they can attack the web, which has 20 hit points, a vulnerability to slashing damage and fire damage, and immunity to piercing and bludgeoning damage. For the second lair action, we have Collapsing Earth. Creatures in a 10-foot square must make a DC 16 Strength or Dexterity saving throw, or fall 10 feet. The caved-in area may be above a trench or tunnel, which could open up more movement opportunities for the player characters, or for allies of the Ettercap to attack. The third lair action is Swarm. The Ettercap summons a swarm of spiders. Very simple. Despite the swarm not being present at the beginning of the encounter, the third lair effect, Coward's Prowess, offers an Ettercap's minions advantage on its first attack against another creature each encounter. Regardless of when the swarm is summoned by the Ettercap, it will always have advantage on its first attack, making it a fairly deadly addition. Now, if I was to build this creature in 7 Willows, which you can currently buy on DriveThruRPG, you know what, I'm going to cast aside my notes here. We're going to freestyle this. I think the Ettercap is one of the monsters most suited to a condition in 7 Willows, known as Stalked. Stalked is interesting. It reflects the psychological warfare, the psychological effects of being tracked by something that you can't quite see in the dark. The stalk condition forces you to take an extra hour when falling asleep, and an extra hour when it comes to waking up. Doesn't seem all that important, but Seven Willows is a game ultimately about time. Wasting time during a day means wasting daylight. Wasting daylight means you can travel at night, means you make slower progress, and nasty critters that are following you catch up to you. Or you travel at night, and you risk even nastier creatures attacking you out of the dark. You're a human after all. No such thing as dark vision. The Ettercap's presence as an ambush predator is going to increase the severity of the already fairly severe stalk condition. If you catch sight of the Ettercap while it's stalking you, the stalk condition now prevents you from falling asleep for 2 hours instead of 1. Additionally, all foraging, fishing, and hunting results, while in a lair controlled by the Ettercap, have a 1 in 6 incrementing chance of being poisonous. Poultices, though not potions, have 6 days while in an Ettercap's lair before they turn poisonous. And finally, if bitten, an Ettercap's poison will kill you in 6 days if you don't find a cure for it. Again, the Ettercap doesn't want open confrontation. If you attempt to confront it early, it can substitute itself once for a large spider or similar natural beast. This substitution removes the stalked condition, but perhaps it doesn't matter at that point. Maybe the Ettercap bit you already. And how exactly are you going to get cured? Well, thank you folks for sticking around for yet another episode of the 5th edition Retrospective. I'm gonna get some logistics out of the way by thanking Mariana for the art, Blue Dot Sessions for the music, my 2 patrons on Patreon, Brandon and Durian. I'd also like to thank those of you who are playing in my ongoing Lancer campaign, which is a fantastic financial support and a fantastic, refreshing, amusing game besides. Sessions for Seven Willows will be beginning soon, as will the zines that are going to get sent out to the various backers who ordered them. I'm happy to say that the zine printing prices finally diminished, and they won't be far out from my door and then yours. If you'd like to support the channel or see more of my content, please don't hesitate to join our Discord server, link below, like the video, share it with a community you know loves discussing design or better monsters, and finally, don't forget to subscribe. We're nearly at 600 after all, and I think it's time that we shot for higher numbers. I think it's time we shot for 1K. A voice this smooth runs on ego. Are you doing your part?